Welcome to the Software People Stories. I'm Shiv.
I'm Chitra.
And I'm Gayatri.
We bring you interesting, untold stories of people
Associated with the creation
Or consumption of software-based solutions.
You'll hear stories of what worked,
and sometimes what didn't,
you will also hear very personal experiences.
and insights that would trigger your thoughts
And inspire you to do even greater things.
Before we jump into today's conversation, a special thanks to PM Power Consulting for encouraging and supporting this show right from the start. With over 1,000 person-years of collective experience, PM Power has helped many organizations, teams, and individuals chart out their own journeys of excellence and make progress. Thank you, PM Power. Now, let's move to today's episode. My guest today is Ravikiran Pothukuchi, the leader of Dassault Systems Enterprise Portfolio business in India. In this conversation, Ravi shares his journey from his humble beginnings in a small village in India to becoming a key player in Dassault Systems business landscape. Ravi dives deep into his upbringing, education, and multiple career transitions that shaped his professional life. Key highlights include his transition from an R&D role to a customer-facing role, the importance of building human connections, the value of curiosity, and how he integrated traditional knowledge with modern business strategies. Some of the quotes and insights that he shares includes valuable lessons on adaptability, resilience, and the power of networking. Listen on. Hi Ravi, welcome to the Software People Stories.
Hi Shiva, good afternoon. Thanks for having me on this fantastic podcast.
Initially, when my colleague Anand suggested your name, one curiosity question that I had, I'm sure we will probably take it up a little later, about being a one company career person, right?
I get that a lot, yes.
That too in IT, right?
Sure.
So before we get there, if we can start with your origin story, how you got interested or got associated with IT, and then what has been your career trajectory, we will take it from there.
Sure. First of all, that's an interesting question, and I have a story to tell about that question.
Wonderful. More stories.
I'll certainly share that story about this question that put me as part of the stress interview I had to undergo. Okay. Once again, thank you and for having me here. My name is Ravikiran Pothukuchi. My surname could be a tongue twister. I come from a small village next to Rajamandri. It's a town between Visakhapatnam and Vijayawada. People who know the territory probably they could relate to it. But we have a beautiful Godavari River, and I'm born and brought up along the banks of Godavari River. Which is a very That's right. Puthureklu is one of the famous delicacy from that area, and we have many things like that, Kakinada Kajalu, like that.
Yes.
So I did my father is a professor in Telugu. He taught till he retired Telugu language. He's a Telugu professor, lecturer, come reader, come professor. He grew in that career path. And my mother was a homemaker, and now she's continues to be the homemaker, looking after my children now, helping being with us, staying with us, and looking after mine and my brother's children, and enjoying the grandkids and their growth. That's how I started, and initially because of my father's job, which is transferable. I was getting moved from a village to village. I'll not call a city to city, right? So most of my upbringing was in the rural backdrops of India. I think I really love those places. I really love the learnings that you get from being part of a rural upbringing, which somewhere I feel that our kids are the next generation, right? Are not getting that traditions, that rituals, that value system sometimes gets little overlooked in the fast-paced city lives, right? So I'm really proud of that upbringing with the rural setup, with fresh air, beautiful river, and playing, learning, studying, so many things like that. So we really enjoyed, at least I really enjoyed the childhood, me and my brother, younger brother. We had a lot of fun times together in our growing up years. When I entered my sixth standard, that's when my dad felt that if I study in those remote villages where I was studying in a government school, there isn't any English medium school as well, convents, and it's just a government school which is taught in the Telugu medium thing. And my father felt that probably he needs a better exposure if he wants to get into a higher education and all of that. He was looking, somebody told him that there is this school called Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya, which is an initiative by Human Resources Development Ministry. And the brain behind that initiative is Shri P.V. Narasimha Rao, our late Prime Minister, who has brought in a lot of transformation. And he also did a little, if you realize that the transformations that he did in the academia and education sector as well. We all know for his prowess in the financial sector, but he did really well in the education sector as well. So this Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya is an initiative of setting up a school in each and every district, and the best of the best students from all strata of that particular district, right? Both rural, urban, and economic backgrounds, various economic backgrounds, various other backgrounds, religious as well as other backgrounds, right? Various strata of the people. They were all brought under one umbrella, and it is like a Gurukul. It's a fully hostel life. It's wherein you get to live, cohabitate with these probably unknown strangers to begin with, and who would become probably your best friends for life, right? That's how we started the journey, and that was a very, very good foundation that I got during my schooling. And that's where I learned the importance of learning the concepts, not the rote learning. I think today I vouch for the learning that these schools have inculcated, Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya, that has inculcated in me in learning conceptually, not learning for scoring, but learning to knowing and understanding. Right? It's not about how many marks do I score, which chapter gets more questions, and it's never about that exam preparation orientation. It's about the real pleasure of knowing something, learning something. We had lovely teachers. I do wish them even today on the Teachers' Day. Some of the names, Reddy sir, Sharma sir, and all of them. Fantastic teachers who taught the foundations of maths and science and inculcated a lot of interest and excitement about these subjects for me. After doing my schooling there, Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya, obviously at that point of time, these schools are in remote locations again, and they do not have these facilities of competitive exam preparation. That's when my father moved me to Visakhapatnam, Vizag, which is a little better known city. There he admitted me into the Kendriya Vidyalaya, followed by this evening classes and weekend exams to prepare for my engineering entrance. And I did reasonably well. I got into one of the premier engineering institutions in Andhra Pradesh at that time, which is called Andhra University College of Engineering. I did my marine engineering naval architecture. That's the department where I did my, it's a very specialized stream. And at that point of time, my choice was the college, not the branch of education that I'm doing, because I certainly knew that probably being in a right college with the right peers will probably shape my future well, than really being worried about what branch, what kind of foundations I'm getting into. Because engineering for me, especially the core engineering courses, mechanical engineering branches are all very similar for first 3 years. So I did that, and then I immediately joined IIT Madras to pursue my masters. I did well there, and I got an opportunity to do my student exchange program. IITs have this program called DAT programs, stands for Deutsche Akademischer Austauschdienst, which in English means German Academic Exchange Service. So this is a student exchange program between Germany and India. And I went to Germany and I did my master's thesis in Technische Universität Berlin, TU Berlin, a great place, a lot of history, a lot of culture there, and I got an opportunity to work with some of the stalwarts of that industry, doing a fantastic German government-funded project, and the learnings are immense. In fact, that's where I got exposed to presenting papers, publishing and all of that, getting a little more deeper into the research of that particular topics. And that was my journey for 2 years, 1 year in IIT and 1 year in Germany. And then I came back. Obviously, we went through the placements. And that's when you asked me what made you tick in one company. And this getting into this company itself is a coincidence. So I come back to IIT. Most of the placements were over. I got some of the pre-placement offers, which I had in hand. At the time of delivering my thesis preparation, as part of that, I happened to see this advertisement in the department notice board that there is this company which is building a dedicated team to develop some technology, software products and solutions that cater to the defense, specifically aerospace and shipbuilding product lines, right? And then they have called upon IIT Kharagpur, IIT Chennai, all the IITs. They have placed this notice on their notice boards. So we were invited, about a bunch of students were invited to Bangalore to go through this interview and selection process. I was lucky enough to get selected. I was one among the 2 students that got selected in that particular batch. And that's how my career with, at that time, it was called Delmia Solutions.
Okay.
It was not Dassault Systems, it was Delmia. In fact, in Bangalore, Delmia Circle is very well known.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
close to
and
where I stay. Yeah.
yeah. So Delmia Circle is very well known, and then that's how, and that's also an interesting story. I came from Chennai to Bangalore. I traveled by train, and I landed in the railway station a day before my selection process. Immediately after I reached the station, Bangalore station, I got curious. I wanted to do a recce of this place. Where is this? So that I didn't want to get late for the next day's selection process. I got down. I asked that rickshawala, I want to go to Delmia, and I was about to read the entire address. He said, no need of address. I know Delmia Circle.
Oh.
So then I thought, oh, I didn't know that this company is so popular. Because even the auto rickshaw drivers could really recognize that company without even knowing that probably there existed a company with that name, right? That's how popular that circle was, Delmia Circle. It's still called it, it's still known that way, Delmia Circle. I went there, I got selected with a few rounds of interviews, and that's how my journey with Delmia Solutions Private Limited, which is a subsidiary of Dassault Systems, which is a French MNC, started. And my initial few years of my career, about 6-7 years, is about developing products and solutions. And in fact, we had a lot of interesting collaboration with American, French teams, because this product was developed in an accelerated development mode for an American customer. Okay, and this is a very unique way of automating the in-process models. I just probably do not want to get too technical. Whenever we are making a product, you start from a stock. Basically, you start from a sheet of steel, and then you mold it into the end product, right?
Mm.
So there is a transformation that particular product undergoes. At the stock level, it is just a sheet or a wire or something, and then it goes through various operations to get transformed into the end product. For example, your automotive chassis and all of that, right? So the body, however you use stamping to mold it. So various techniques that are used. So we have created this unique technology that captures the transformation of that stock material to an end product material, and how it is getting transformed at each step, right? So that we can revert back to those steps if there is any traceability, any issues during the process, right? So this is what is called as automated in-process models, because these are all the models during the process. So this got I think we got in we patented this project. We got a patent as well for this, and then it became a very good solution. The customer that we have developed it for, they have embraced it with both hands, and then it also got commercialized by taking it to many customers across the globe, right? After having spent 6 years, that's when I realized that my personality is more extrovertish. I like interacting with people. I like brainstorming on new ideas. I like understanding the business problems, and I really wanted to get to that side. And while R&D is exciting, it is giving me a lot of learning in terms of tech space, the tech stack, the architecture, the programming. All of that is good. Somewhere I felt that I'm not getting that kick out of what I wanted to do, which is to be on the business side. That's when that's my first lesson in life, that if you build a good network, that's where I have heard someone state it, your network is your net worth. I have built fantastic relationships at Dassault Systems with a lot of people. I have demonstrated my abilities to deliver on tasks and all of that. So the moment I expressed my interest to move to a customer-facing role, I was warmly welcomed there. So that's when I pivoted from a technical career, pure play, not even technical career, it is a pure R&D career where I was developing the software. I was converting the business needs into a software product, right? From that role to go to the other side where I'm understanding and positioning this product, customer facing role. And this pivoting happened end of 2011, and I joined Dassault Systems sales organization at that point of time. And in Dassault Systems sales organization, I started as a some people call it as pre-sales. Basically, people who pitch the power of technology, the power of these products to the customers from the technical standpoint, but not from the business standpoint. So I did that for 1 year, and then some of my mentors and the leadership team in Dassault Systems believed that I could really take up the business development role as well. That's when I completely transitioned into a full-time business development role in 2013 after doing 1 year of pre-sales job. So what did I learn during this transition? This transition came up with a lot of friction. Okay. When you start facing the customers, on the R&D side, you're developing some of the cool tech, which is probably far advanced. And when I came to the real world, I realized that the customers are at least 2 generations behind in terms of our product itself. When I say 2 generations, 2 to 3 releases from our R&D is developing a technology, but the market is using 3 releases before that the technology. And the customers were asking very simple questions. Their needs were very simple. So the first thing that crossed my mind is, here I am developing some of the cool tech, some of the complex challenges, and when I go to customers, they're asking simple things, where do I put this text? Where do I put this information? It's very non-technical, it looked. And I felt, what is this? This is too easy and too simple. I think people should look at more complex things. That's a friction I went through. I couldn't accept that sometimes the problems that the customer face doesn't necessarily have to be the rocket science problems, right? They can be as simple as what you may think as common sense, but then that they have to do it at scale. That's where their efficiencies are developed. So I started developing a mindset, that the customer centricity, the customer oriented mindset. It took a lot of time for me to accept this change, that even if customer is asking, even if it looks silly, it has a scaling problem. That means the same thing, if 1,000 people do it as a mistake, it has a huge efficiency issues in their overall operations. Okay, so it may look very simple from a developer standpoint, from a product manager standpoint, but it may have a huge business impact from the customer lens, right? This basic understanding, I got it when I moved from R&D role to the business development role. That's one learning I had. And the second interesting learning is, there are various revelations. In the R&D roles, while you collaborate with your teams, it's more or less an individual contributor role, right? You have teams, but everybody is knows what they have to do. There isn't much of a people dimension there. When you are in a business development role, you have to manage their expectations. Sometimes, there is a lot of human dimension than what would you face in a typical development environment, because the development environments are typically insulated from the external world of all these expectations. But in a business development role, a significant part of your job is to manage the expectations, the customer expectations, the stakeholder expectations. For example, you interact with a user team, you interact with an IT team, you interact with a business team, and all these teams of a customer organization sometimes have a conflicting expectations. So IT team says this is how I want because I want to see the metrics, but user team says no, this is not how I want. And you are kind of caught into a flux. Okay, what if I do this? Will I antagonize this team? Will I antagonize? So managing multiple expectations, bringing so many stakeholders on the same page was one of the interesting human dimension that I learned through my business development role. And then after having done good 4 years where I have done really well, I have been entrusted with the responsibility to lead a particular industry vertical, which is aerospace and defense, which is one of the largest industry verticals for us, Dassault Systems in India. And that's another interesting role because the human dimension got exponentially multiplied. Because in that role, it's not about me delivering that value, that promise to the customers. It is about making that value to be delivered by my teams. Sometimes we believe, we all believe, right? There's some biases that we have that we do things better, and when I give it to someone else, they may take longer time. I may lose time in translating the expectations and all of that. That's when I had a nice conversation with my dad, and he said, "See, you have to understand one thing. The God's design itself, you're given 5 fingers. Each finger has its own value, right? So you cannot expect every finger to be same length, same capability, and all of that." So he also taught me one interesting thing, that the weakest finger, which is your little finger, which you don't use for anything else, is the finger that gets probably exploited, for example, in third-degree treatment and all of that, right? So every finger in that sense is important. Sometimes you have to protect the finger that hurts you more because of its weakness, and sometimes you have to leverage your strongest finger. So he gave a sense of how do you leverage, complement the weakness and exploit the strengths, right? And that's how you have to manage your teams. You should not get frustrated with a weaker member, and you should not get excited with a stronger member. You should learn to balance and complement the strengths. And that's when I also read a book called Standout 2.0, which is a very interesting book, which talks about changing the Standout 2.0.
Okay.
Standout 2.0. And what that book taught me is change the lens, change the way you look at people's evaluation. All the while, many frameworks taught us that, okay, when we evaluate people, we look at their weaknesses and we tell them how to improve on that. But that book talks about, that's a very kind of a half glass empty mindset. Instead, start looking at what people are good at and then start exploiting those strengths. Right? And one of the best examples about this is none other than our Captain Cool, Mahendra Singh Dhoni. Right? If you see him, he probably is not a technically sound batsman. Okay, but he has his strengths. He knew his strengths, and he always played the game to his strengths, which is to that explosive batting, scoring runs at a brisk pace, and no doubt he's a fantastic keeper and a cool captain. But from the batting standpoint, he would not have fitted into the definitions of a technically sound classical batting, right? But then the helicopter shot is very unconventional. Nobody would have the purists of the game would not have endorsed that shot. Like it's like a baseball shot. But then that was very effective, and it helped him to score a lot of runs. So that's one thing I learned, that look at the strengths of the people and start exploiting those strengths rather than looking at the weaknesses and then making them feel bad about it. That's one interesting lesson I learned during my team management, initial days of team management. And then we have grown the business significantly, multifold. Then currently I take the responsibility of the pan-India. Dassault Systems has multiple product lines. I take care of all these product lines in terms of developing their business, obviously revenue potential and growth, penetration into newer markets, diversification, all these mandates that we're looking at in terms of growing these new product lines, new acquisitions in Indian market. That's my current role, and the team has grown bigger, and so did the responsibilities and the expectations. Right. So that's a quick, not quick, probably a quite long introduction about myself, starting from where I started. And if I may, Shiva, I would like to answer this question of one, they say, right, the one company. And I have to share, I said I'll share the story. When I started doing I leveraged my network, and thanks, I was very lucky to get a break to move from a tech role into a business role. It's not easy to pivot without having a business education. I didn't have any formal MBA or anything at that point of time. But after pivoting into this career, the customer-facing organization, I realized the need of having a formal business education. That's when I gave some competitive exams, and I appeared to join executive MBA program of IIM Bangalore. And I cleared the written test, and I was in the interview panel, and one of the members of the panel asked me this question. When we select the batch, we select students that bring divergent perspectives. Okay, so we look at a mix of a batch from different industrial backgrounds, different regional backgrounds, and different learning experiences. And here you just worked in one company. You don't even seem to know any other company, any other culture. So how would you fit into this? Because what is the contribution that you would have to the batch? And what's the value you bring to this course? Right? While you get to learn a lot, what is it that you bring to the table? This was my question. I felt probably this is a stress interview. I know the things that are getting on my mind were maybe I have not scored well in the written test. Some people told me that you would go through a stress interview if your scores in the written test are not that great, and they see your ability to handle these questions. So the first thing that was going on in my mind was, oh, maybe I have not scored well. That's why this is a trick question. This is a tough question. How do we answer it? Then I said, okay, let me go about it the way I would answer that question. I just said one thing. I may be one-dimensional from the company standpoint, but I'm not one-dimensional from the functional standpoint. Okay, you may have seen people doing the R&D job in 10 companies. Yeah, they may have learned the cultures, workings, and the DNAs of the different companies, but they have done only R&D for their so many years of career. Here I am. At the time of interview, I have done the software coding, then the software architecting, the entire R&D processes. Then I moved into customer-facing organization. I have done how to pitch a product and its features to a customer, which is pre-sales. I've done a consulting activity, which is about studying the customer business processes, identifying some of the bottlenecks in that process, and probably benchmarking those processes again as the best in the world, and creating a roadmap to move from their as-is to a desired to be. Right? I've done that consulting. I have done the field sales, which is a very hard way of, field sales teaches a lot of things because it may look very glamorous because you will be up in the air flying from one city to another city, but it has a lot of frustrations that come along with it. Sometimes you would not close a deal on time. You are expecting certain customer to finalize the contract. It gets slipped into the next quarter, and you have these revenue expectations. So there are a lot of things, I call the business development function, the revenue generation function, is very close to sport. That is because no matter how well you performed in the previous match, the next match when you take the strike, your score is 0, right? That's the case with the revenue generation function. Because the next year when you start your freshly, you may not have achieved your quota or overachieved your quota last year, but it doesn't count anymore. You start from 0 the next year. So I keep telling that the excitement of a revenue generation function or a business function is it's very close to sport. It has a lot of uncontrollables. It has a lot of uncertainties. It has a lot of volatility, and it teaches you to be grounded. Right? It teaches you to be humble because no matter, of course, we have to do the best that we have to do, but regardless of how best we do, uh, there is something that you have to be learning that things can go wrong, not because of you, but for market situations. Suddenly today we are seeing many market volatility because of certain decisions made by a few countries, right? Today we are seeing that geopolitical and the economic situation standpoint, it's very volatile. People are very worried about what's going to come up in the next week or the next month. That's a kind of uncertainty we are living in. That uncertainty sometimes can affect the people in the business side, and that's when we all learn to be humble and we all learn to be grounded. That life can have many things in store. So don't just get overexcited that I know it all. Attitude won't work, right? So that's how I presented my case to that panel, saying that I bring this experience of having handled multiple functions and having handled multiple personality styles within those functions. So I think I can bring the whole organizational perspective, even if it is one organization, if it's not multiple organizations. And then that seemed to be a good answer because I got selected.
Yeah, wonderful answer. Yes. Yeah.
And then I got selected. I did my exec MBA in IIM Bangalore, and that's when I learned the nuances of business. It's a fantastic institution with some of the best world-renowned professors teaching there on the fundamentals of finance, accounting, strategy, marketing, uh, many things. I think that 2 years of learning, not just learning, it's also about networking. Because it's an executive MBA, we had a class full of people with varied experiences. There were people with 15 years of experience. There were people with 5 years of experience. There were people from finance background. There were people from some hardcore manufacturing background. It's not just IT world, right? It has mix of people from various segments and industries. The learnings and the network that I built there was phenomenal. I think I owe a lot to these institutions, these famed institutions like IIT and IIMs. And in my foundational days, my schooling days, Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya and Kendriya Vidyalaya, they have really shaped to be the person that I am today.
Wonderful. A lot of things that are, I think, very simply put, but then very powerful in terms of how you've been able to get benefit from all of that. But a couple of them that stood out was you mentioned about networking a couple of times, about building a network, and also during the IIM program that you had an opportunity to network. What does it take to build a network?
Very, very interesting question. But before I answer that, I'll
Yeah.
go back the value of network. Why should we build a
Hmm.
network? Sometimes we get overwhelmed by the technology. We will get overwhelmed by the gadgets that we have, right? I read an interesting story somewhere, or probably it's a real event, but I read it somewhere in the newspapers that this famous World Economic Forum that happens in Davos every year, where the who is who of the business, the business magnates, the industry veterans, leaders from all the countries, from all the walks of life, sectors and industries, converge there to discuss various initiatives and all of that, right? So they were all there congregated and they were discussing suited, booted, with a perfect business etiquette. And they happened to see a spiritual guru who is in his robes, right?
Mhm.
And then that people were confused. What is the spiritual guru doing in Davos, World Economic Forum? We are discussing about business. It's all about capitalism. It's all about profits. It's all about that. And here is a spiritual guru, and what is he doing there? So they all got confused, and they asked him, "What are you doing here? What's the business you have here?" Then that spiritual guru asked one of the people there, said, "Okay, leave about me. You tell me about what business you are in." And one gentleman who is probably in his mid 50s, well dressed, um, He said, I'm into some aircraft component manufacturing business. Okay, then the spiritual guru asked him again, okay, go deeper. What business you are in? No, I provide these components to all these big airlines so that they can fly the aircrafts. Then he said, okay, go further deeper. What business are you in? He said, okay, these aircrafts are leveraged by people. They ferry people from one country to another country. They connect people and it helps people travel the world, experience the world and all of that. Then he paused and said, you are in the business of connecting people. Ferrying people from one place to another, connecting people with their loved ones who are probably staying far away, right? So you are in the business of connecting people, and so am I. I'm in the business of enlightening people. Okay. So what I learned when I read that article is, regardless of what we do, if we are building a computer, it is to ease the effort, human effort. If you are developing mobile phones, it is to connect to your loved ones, to speak with them, to connect with them, to discuss many things, right? So it's all about connecting people with people, or transporting people from one place to another place, or reducing and minimizing the human effort. So everything that we develop, the technology or whatever, the advent of whatever the human progress that has happened, the centerpiece of that progress is human. Okay, so that's why we call our organization's tagline is the progress is only human. That the human, everything that has happened ever since the invention of a light bulb by Thomas Alva Edison to aircraft by John Wright brothers to many other things that have come in the last 2-3 decades is to give comfort and ease to the human beings, right? So that's what I would like to emphasize. That's where the network is all about. So people are always there, right? We may have our gadgets, we may have our other things that may feel important, but at the end of the day, it is important that we connect to the people at a human level and build that authentic, genuine connect with them, being empathetic with how one feels and all of that. So this human dimension is very critical. And once we understand the importance of it, for example, I never understood this importance. When I was doing my MBA, I more or less bunked all the HR classes. I said HR is a subject for HR people. I'm not going to do HR. So why should I learn? Why should I attend a class called Managing People and Performance in an Organization? There is an elective called MPPO. So I said, okay, I just have to manage my grades. I didn't pay attention, but later I realized the power of connections with people, the power of connecting with people at a very deeper level will help you learn a lot of things, right? First of all, you learn a lot of things from them. You get a lot more informed, and at the end of the day, people always help people, right? Sometimes there are these networking connections that help you to get something that probably you would not crack through a proper professional channel. So there is always a human dimension to it. That's why they say people buy from people, people sell to people, right? The rest of the frameworks are there. The people is the core central piece in everything that we do, whether it is business, whether it is technology, whether it is development, anything. So that's one thing I learned in a hard way. I must tell you that. That's why probably I'm sharing this story to all the viewers so that they could learn. Do not neglect the courses on human dimension, because that's very important. The leadership aspects very important. How do you communicate with people? How do you understand people? How do you empathize with people? And once you become interested in people at the core level, building networks happens easily. Okay, it becomes because the moment the other person sees a genuine interest, a person showing a genuine interest in you, you would not walk away from them. You would, you would kind of join the conversation. You would reciprocate, and that conversation should not be superficial. That conversation is not just a faked conversation. It should be a genuine conversation, right? You are curious about a person's product, about their idea, about their family, about their stories. When they start showing the interest in them and their stories, they're connected with you. And when they're connected with you, there is this bond that gets created, and that helps you in maneuvering some of the complex challenges, and that's how you build your network.
Sounds simple, but I guess it takes intentional
It takes
effort and time.
it takes a lot of time and a very sustained conscious effort.
Hmm.
I know it's easier said than done,
Yeah.
Shiva, but getting interested in people is not easy. Some people cannot deal with people. They say, "Oh my
Hmm.
God, this. If I talk to five people, I get five calls, I get headache." Right? That's so. It also the personality, right? A lot of it also is the personality. Some people are socially driven. They're social animals. They thrive in a social setting. They don't
Hmm.
feel awkward to talk to strangers. They don't feel awkward to do a ice-breaking session. But I just also want to tell that networking is not just for those social animals or extroverts. Sometimes there are misconceptions around it. Some of the best bonds are built by the introvertish people. Because the best thing about introvertish people is that they are genuinely interested in something, unlike extrovertish people who are floating everywhere at a superficial level. So it's about every personality has a style, but I think every personality can connect uh, and build quality human connections. Once again, I emphasize it's not about how many people you're connected with.
Hmm.
It's about are you connected with the people, and with whoever you're connected deeply.
But as you described this, one other kind of pattern that I noticed was just like this networking, which probably every new interaction can either be a stress inducer, or if you take it with curiosity, maybe an opportunity to learn and do something different or establish a new contact. In your career, you mentioned that starting with coding, you moved to architecture, to customer support, to pre-sales and consulting and field sales, and all over, right?
Right.
Every one of those situations also, I'm assuming, would be a completely new set of people, new set of rules to play, and probably a lot of the new things to learn. Right? How was
Sure.
that experience for you? All these transitions happening.
Oh, these transitions, I'll probably elaborate on it. Every transition started with a frustration,
Hmm.
okay? Because then I realized it is my unwillingness to adopt to the change in the beginning, right?
Hmm.
Because I'm getting into a new role with a old role mindset.
Mhm.
So, for example, I'm moving from an R&D role to a customer-facing role, right? In R&D role, the KPIs are well defined, okay?
Hmm.
The schedules are well defined, okay? This is how you have to develop. There is a clear timeline on your development process. They're all well defined, well streamlined, well communicated. Everybody knows what they have to do. There are clear expectations set. So, and then it is like a frog in the well, right? Not in a negative way, but in a positive way, that you're undisturbed and not perturbed by what's happening externally. And
Hmm.
then you come into a customer facing environment where I did this, okay? I traveled once from all the way from Bangalore to Kolkata to meet a
Hmm.
customer. And then I reached their facility. I was at the entrance reception. I called him that I'm at the reception. I wanted to meet you. We agreed to meet. Then he said, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I forgot. I'm in Delhi today."
Oh.
Right? So imagine you woke up at 3 a.m. And traveled almost 1.5 hours towards the airport, waited for 1 hour, took a 6 a.m. flight, landed at 9 a.m. so that you can be on time for a 10 o'clock meeting.
Hmm.
And then you ring up and the customer says, "Oh shit, I really forgot. I got a sudden meeting request from Delhi from some higher ups, and I had to rush for that meeting. I'm really sorry. Now we could not meet. I'll be back only after 2 days."
Hmm.
Now imagine the amount of frustration you would go through, right? First of all, it's about the effort that you put in. It's about that. Um, I mean, you may feel that it is not so professionalism, right? It's very unprofessional of someone to do like this. You feel bad, you feel frustrated, but that's what you tend to accept, right?
Hmm.
In the customer-facing organizations, there are so many uncontrollables. There are many things that are not in your control.
Hmm.
You cannot control everything, every outcome. The macroeconomic factors. Today, there is a lot that's happening because of tariffs, which is impacting the organizations that have higher export exposure, right?
Mm.
So many things are changing, and the world is turning upside down for them in a span of weeks, right? So what I feel is, when I initially got very frustrated. Oh my God, how can he do like this? This is not fair. This is not professional. That's why, I started cursing the organization, the customer's organization. And I said, then I went into probably, this is how probably this country, you get into that mode of blaming everything possible, everyone possible, from the organization to the setting to the country to whatnot, right? Because you think the world should operate in a certain defined fashion.
Mm.
But then it takes time for you to accept that that's not how it works. It's not anymore a cocoon or a nicely guarded world. It is an outside world.
Yeah.
So every transition, then I moved from a pre-sales role to a sales role. Suddenly there is this expectation about you are measured with, which is a part of business, right? You have to deliver. You are
Mm.
measured on outcomes, not on just activities. You may
Yeah.
have done a fantastic work, you may have done a fantastic meeting, you may have done a fantastic pitch, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't translate into revenue, it doesn't translate into some business for the organization, right?
Mm.
So there is no point. It's like that. You have done a fantastic net practice, but on the field you score nothing. So you have a fantastic cover drive, you have a lot of shots in your book, but continuously on the field for whatever reasons, right? We have seen players. That's why I keep taking this analogy between sports and business, because a lot of times the best of the best batsmen get out for that one small mistake,
Mm.
and the same mistake for another batsman he gets 4 or 5 lives. His
Yeah.
edges get dropped, his LBW decisions are not given by the umpires. So that guy ends up scoring century, and you end up getting caught on the first edge that you do. You feel, say, my fate is not good, right? So you start thinking about sometimes trying to connect the outcomes to your own fate, your own performance, and all of that. I think that is another transition I made. That it's all about doing your best, and doing your best not just in activities, but also ability to anticipate the outcomes, ability to maneuver those maze of business aspects, and
Yeah.
retaining the calm and composure in these tough times when your character is tested, your calm is tested, your composure is tested, and that's when people start seeing you, that you're a better person, and I can extract value from you.
Yeah. Wonderful. I didn't realize how long we've been talking. But I still have to ask you one question. With all this, you did talk about all these transitions, the associated stress factors, and all that. Are there any personal practices, if you don't mind sharing, that help you stay grounded?
Um, yes, one, I think I believe in, and I like this fantastic quote in the background of yours. Great things never come from comfort zones, right?
Mm.
I always pushed myself out of comfort zones. I was in R&D, I could have continued there. I got bored. I said, no, it's becoming a comfort zone. Then I moved out of that. I got into pre-sales. So I changed functions from one function to another function to test myself whether am I getting too comfortable. So what is that I would, to answer your question, I look at the most important aspect for me personally is curiosity.
Mm.
Okay, so why curiosity? It ties back to the 3 C's. There's the 4 C's framework I believe in. The curiosity, because the children are very happy. Why? Because they're curious about everything. They are the curious cats. They're very happy. They're excited about the world. The outlook that they bear about the world is very, very positive. That's why I call myself also an eternal optimist. That's the tagline I carry for myself in my some of my social media handles. When you have the curiosity, you start seeing everything in a lens that everything is a learning for you. Everything, there is something to pick up, there is something to look at, and all of that. That curiosity builds your competence. The next C, second C. Okay, and but the curiosity alone is not sufficient. That you have to add a commitment to that curiosity, right?
Mm.
If you have this deadly combo of curiosity and commitment, then you start building competence. With competence, your confidence grows, right? So curiosity commitment, competence, and confidence. And once you have these 4 C's, then the 5th C, which is the most important C, is the communication, right? You become effective communicator. And I believe for some of the greatest leaders, you take some of the world wars were averted or world wars were won, and every time you talk about great leaders, you talk about their communication, their persuasion, right? I believe that the change, the transformation can be brought upon by effective communication, to be able to communicate a complex idea in the simplest possible way. And that communication just doesn't come, I'm not talking, when I say communication, it's not just about linguistic skills, right? It's about translating that complex idea into a very simply understandable thing, right? How do we do that? And to do that, you need all these aspects. You need to be curious, you need to be committed, and this will build the competence. With competence, you become confident. With confidence, you will be able to deliver, communicate with conviction to your teams, your people. I think these 5 C's are the guiding lights for my career, and I try to hold all these 5 C's very close to my heart and do my best that I could do.
So I will add another C before we close, which is congratulations on the successful career and navigating all these things. And definitely thanks a lot for sharing your journey as well as your experience with a lot of stories. I'm sure everybody would be able to relate to this. I could definitely find that some of these things are so relatable. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Shiva. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And I'm really excited to be part of this podcast and to be able to share my experiences. And I'm sure I have gone through other podcasts where other speakers have shared their experiences. I think this is a great initiative through which we can share our experiences and learn from other experiences, and thereby continue this, a great loop of continuous learning from each other. Thank you so very much for this initiative, and I look forward to staying connected with you.
Yeah. Thanks, Ravi, and all the best.
We thank Siddharth for the music and Anita for promoting the Software People Stories.
If you like this episode,
Please subscribe on your favorite podcast client.
And spread the word in your network.
if you'd like to share your story,
Contact us at podcasts@pm-powerconsulting.com.